Good evening, and welcome to the 10th annual UCSF Last Lecture. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Earlier this year, each student government was asked to nominate a faculty member to give the 2022 UCSF Last Lecture. The list of nominees was presented to the UCSF student body, and hundreds of students voted. The winner of that vote is our speaker tonight, Dr. Deanne Duncan. Dr. Deanne Duncan is UCSF First Assistant Dean for Diversity and Learner Success in the Graduate Division, and is an adjunct assistant professor in the Department of Social and Behavioral Sciences. Dr. Duncan received her Bachelor's of Arts from Lake Forest College. As an undergraduate, she began to understand the value of mentorship. She then pursued her PhD in neuroscience at Northwestern University. She continued pursuing her scientific interests as a postdoctoral fellow at Vanderbilt University, where her research focused on visual neuroscience. Dr. Duncan joined UCSF in 2017. In her time here, she has focused on centering diversity, equity, and inclusion in academia. To this end, she developed the first Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion JEDI academic leadership course. She has positively impacted the next generation of scientists training at UCSF by providing professional development opportunities to graduate students and postdoctoral scholars from underrepresented backgrounds in science. To truly capture Dr. Duncan's essence, it is important to describe the personal impact she has had in those around her. Therefore, to introduce Dr. Duncan tonight, I personally reached out to Dr. Duncan's colleagues, students, mentees, and friends. There were so many positive anecdotes that it would be impossible to include them all in this introduction. To share a few, Dr. Duncan was described as a relentless champion who fights for student needs. A student indicated that she has created a safe and warm space where professor and student alike engage their minds and spirits. As a mentor, she has fostered an inclusive environment that allows students from underrepresented and marginalized backgrounds in science to be their full selves and achieve their goals. She has pushed for institutional change, all while shaping the experience of trainees at UCSF. And so, on behalf of the student body of UCSF, I ask her, Dr. Duncan, if you had but one lecture to give, what would you say?
Diane, I want to thank you for nominating me and introducing me tonight. It means the world to me. I wish you were here in person, and I hope that you made a safe journey to Puerto Rico. Thank you so much. Sending you love and light right now. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me at my last lecture. I want to thank, before I get started, I have a couple thank yous. I want to thank the Graduate and Postdoctoral Student Association, so thank you. I'd like to thank Student Life and the Alumni Association for sponsoring tonight's event. I'd like to thank Jennifer Roscoe and Kathy Chu for all of their time and effort with organizing tonight's event. And I'd also like to thank Education Technology Services, for, in particular, Isaac Conway Stencil and Kyle Van Alker for supporting me and tonight's event. This is a really special honor to be nominated and selected by the UCSF student body to deliver the 2022 last lecture. We're going to have a really good time tonight. There are going to be a lot of laughs and a little bit of tears too, but we're going to do it together. And so without further ado, if I had one last lecture to give, what would I say?
Now we are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. Now I'm standing here, my heart's so full, I can't explain. Seeking
Alita, come
faith
up here.
and speaking words I never thought I'd say. There
know all the words, come on.
when you believe, your hope is frail, it's hard to get. Who knows what miracles you can achieve, when you believe, somehow you win. You will when you believe.
Yes. All right now. That's that side gig. Thank you.
They don't always happen when you ask, and it's easy to give in to your fear. But when you're blinded by your pain, can't see your way clear through the rain, small but still resilient voice says hope is very near. Miracles, not when you believe. Hope is frail, it's hard to heal. Who knows what miracles you can achieve, when you believe. Somehow you will. Just believe. Just believe when you
So that was When You Believe by Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. One of the things that I love to do the most in my classroom and in my programs is play music to connect with my students. And tonight was no different. Thank you, Dr. Olita, for coming to the stage tonight. And let me go ahead and just check my words just really quickly. I hope that we all can agree, in addition to the powerful words and the lyrics that we heard today, there were several lyrics that were quite amazing. And I'll tell you the lyrics that really resonated with me. There are a bunch of green lights on right now. Is that good? Thank you. Should work now? Okay. Let me test it before you go. Okay. Thank you. Some of the lyrics that really resonated with me is this one. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. And when you believe, you will. When you believe. I'm going to get straight to the point and tell you why I'm here tonight. In June 2020, my world completely changed. The world witnessed the murder of another Black life due to police brutality. And as institutions and organizations across the world remained silent and grappled with the fact of how to figure out how to solve racism, I was single-handedly tasked with supporting some of our students through their pain, through their trauma, through their frustration and their anger with these events and how it paralleled their own educational journeys. I was also tasked with solving anti-Black racism and systemic racism, all while being impacted by my own racial trauma, anti-Black racism, and misogyny, a specific misogyny towards Black women. As summer of 2020 raged on, I felt like our community became super divided. And it was our students who kept me whole, championed for me, advocated for me, and supported me, and took our community into a space of restoration. I was and still am responsible for advancing justice, equity, and inclusion for our students here at UCSF. And over the course of the last 2 years, by designing and implementing justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion curricula, as well as leading action steps towards making sustainable change for our graduate students, I finally realized that I have been a trailblazer, a person who's been pioneering a new path. And unfortunately, everyone has their mask on, so I can't see all of the surprised looks on your face. But I know many of you are probably thinking, Dr. Deanne, we know what you do. Like, we know what you bring every day. You bring the heat every day. How come you didn't know? The reality is, I didn't know. So I came to this realization in January 2021, actually, when I was reflecting on my own experiences, to the history makers that I'd seen in my lifetime, and to the movements that had been, quote unquote, led by men. And during my reflections, I constantly came back to the fact that Black women have always been supporting and educating our communities and doing the deep work. I thought really deeply about my own experiences. So I'm a 21-year member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and some of my sorority sisters are here tonight. I designed and implemented the first ever Justice, Diversity, and Equity and Inclusion academic leadership course here at UCSF and nationally. And I am the first Black woman to be selected to deliver UCSF's last lecture. So I can now say with confidence that I am a deep source of support for our students, our faculty, and staff at UCSF. And I can stand confidently and firmly in front of you and say, I am now a trailblazer. So I want to ask, what does a trailblazer mean to all of you? If anyone can just shout out a couple of answers. What does it look like? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love it all. Thank you. So for me, the words that, go ahead. Yes, yes. Thank you. So for me, some of the adjectives and the attributes and values that come up when I think of the word trailblazer include an advocate, someone who exhibits courage, someone who is patient and who is exhibits trust and is trustworthy, someone who has integrity, and someone who values relationships. So tonight, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a nuanced story behind me and how I navigate being a trailblazer. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how the values that I've picked up along the way that have influenced me navigating my inner trailblazer, and how I show up, how it's shown up in my educational journey, what I do here at UCSF and the research that I conduct for our students. So, and I'm going to tell the story in 3 parts. So, part 1, my family. Oops, my family. So these are my beautiful parents, Cecile and Rudolph Duncan. They are, this is a picture on the left is when my mom was pregnant with me. It's actually one of my favorite pictures of them. I don't think I've ever mentioned that to them, but it is. They were both born in the Caribbean. My mom was born in Jamaica and my dad was born in Neves and grew up in the Virgin Islands. And they came to the United States as teenagers. They met in San Antonio, Texas, where I was born and lived the first 10 years of my life. Education was such an important pillar in my home. I loved going to school. I actually had perfect attendance, I feel like, every year. I know some of you are probably like, I'm not surprised. The next photo that I'm going to show you is of me in the 2nd grade when we lived in Key West, Florida. My dad is retired Navy and he was stationed there at the time. And so I show this picture for a couple of reasons. The first reason, if anyone can guess, is me on the right-hand side of the image with the blue arrow. And how many of you have seen this face? I know you've seen this face in meetings or in person, right? So I had these facial expressions as a little child. So I share this first. The second reason is that you can see all of the black children are clustered together. We're smiling, we looked connected. What is not obvious from this photo, and I didn't realize it at the time, because I was a little kid playing around, is that this particular school, the administrators and the teachers were trying to put all of the black students in remedial classes once we entered the 3rd grade. So in the 2nd grade, we were in all these advanced classes, and all of a sudden, now we're being put into remedial class. So my mom learned of this information, and shortly thereafter, removed me from the school. And we moved back to Texas. Instantly, my nuclear family was separated. So my mom and I moved back to Texas, and my dad remained in Florida. I have no doubt that that was a very difficult decision for my parents. But what was important to me, and again, I didn't know this at the time, I actually learned of this information as an adult. What was really important to me and what I learned from that experience was the fact that my mom made that decision to remove me from the school. Since education was such an important pillar in our home, it was something that needed to happen. And she centered my needs, centered my education at a really critical time when I needed it. And she didn't know the circumstances, right? And so that lesson, the lesson that I learned from that was the importance of advocacy. Advocating and centering other people's needs, even though you may not know how it's going to impact them in the future. So I got to really, at the time I didn't know it again, but now that I look back on it, that was one of the earliest times where I saw the importance of advocacy. The other really important lesson that I learned, or the value that I learned from that particular experience, is courage. I've never told my mom this, but I do believe that that moment was also very courageous, right? To make a decision to say, my child needs X. We need to move, and if that means our family is separated, that's okay, we're gonna come back together. And they did, right? We did. And so as a result of both of those events, both advocacy and courage became very important values for me and for how I believe in and embrace my inner trailblazer. Unbeknownst to me, those would become my foundational pillars of being a trailblazer. So I've asked my parents to join us live tonight. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Deanne.
You're not excited? Are you enjoying the show?
Yes, we are. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Now you're hearing some stories that I've never told you all before.
We have some of our own.
So I actually invited my parents to join in person, but I had too many speaking engagements this week, so I was like, come online. So I gave my parents a prompt for them to respond to, and so they're going to share their answers with all of you. So this is my mom, Cecile, and my dad, Rudolph. And the prompt that I gave them each, and they're going to answer both, they're going to both answer, is, Mom and Dad, how did you know that I was going to be a trailblazer when I was growing up?
Okay. Well, you know, you were determined. And I remember in middle school when you came home, and I don't know what transpired that day, but you came in and you said, Mom, I'm going to have a science lab, for women, because I realized that there's not enough women in the field of science. And you echoed that all throughout high school. So I'm looking forward to you having that camp one day just for women.
Thank you, Mom.
So I knew right away that you were on your way to something great.
Thank you. Dad?
Thank you, Deanne. I always knew that you were a trailblazer, but there's quite a few circumstances or timeline that come to mind. I'm only going to touch on one at the moment, but I remember the day when you graduated from Lake Forest College, and we met your advisor, and he said, hey, Mr. Duncan, Mrs. Duncan, everything is in place. Your daughter is going to go on and go into the doctorate program, and we are 100% behind her. And that was probably my proudest moment. I knew you were on your way to bigger and better things, and we're so proud of you today.
Thank you. Dad, you did good. We were practicing yesterday, so. He was like, okay, Dee, okay, don't hassle me. I said,
I have a few more.
Daddy, I said, people are coming to see me. You need to be ready. Well, I thank you both for being here and sharing your stories about me with the audience, UCSF. I wish you could be here to see all of my students and all of my colleagues. You could see that I'm doing better. I know, Mom, you were worried about me over the last 2 years. You'd ask me a lot of things, and I would say, I can't talk about it. So know that I'm doing okay out in California. And so thank you for being here. I love you both. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
So now I'm going to move into, let me go back one slide, sorry. Move into the second part of my lecture and tell you a little bit more about how I seek opportunities, seek curiosity through interdisciplinary opportunities. So not many of you have probably heard me talk about the science that I used to do. I'm a neuroscientist. I'm a proud neuroscientist. I love neuroscience. In my PhD, I trained to become a neuroimmunologist, and so neuroimmunology is the niche field between the intersections in communication between your nervous system and your immune system. And so I was in an immunology lab. I was oftentimes one of two graduate students, neuroscience graduate students, amongst many immunologists and talking all the immunology lingo all the time. So needless to say, I was always surrounded by immunologists. In my PhD, I studied glial cells, which are really important support cells of your nervous system. They support your neurons. Without glial cells, your neurons would die. In particular, and on the screen, this is an overview of what I used to study. It's complicated. I'm not going to explain it. But in my PhD, I specifically studied a cell called microglia. It's a type of glial cell. And that is your immune cell of the nervous system. It's often responsible for clearing debris, responding to infections, and playing a role in your nervous system's immune response. I loved the interdisciplinary work that I used to do in my research. I loved how nuanced it was, and I loved the fact that I could blend two different systems together to ask very complex questions and come up with novel results, right? And that was really amazing to me. What I loved is actually that I fell in love with a cell whose job it is to take care of other cells, right? I'm going to get to a deeper point. Maintain their health and well-being, and create and sustain nurturing environments. Who does that sound like? Right? So I didn't know that that's what I was doing, but when I put this lecture together, I was like, whoa, this is really deep. And those three things that I named are really important for mentorship and community building. And that is what I do in my job every day and what many of our students have benefited from. In my postdoc, I went ahead and continued on advancing in my curiosity through interdisciplinary approaches. And so what I chose to do was then use my expertise and knowledge and apply it to the visual system. How many folks study the visual system? A little bit, Nabila? It's complicated. I didn't realize how complicated it was, but it is. So I studied the retina, which is a very beautiful tissue if you all have ever seen an image of the retina. And it's often used to study complex interactions in circuits. During my time in my postdoc, I worked in a smaller lab. So I was often mentoring a lot of undergraduates and PhD students in training. And what I always really enjoyed about that experience is I always remember the importance of mentorship and understanding how important quality mentorship can have on a student's trajectory. And I had that experience as a small liberal arts college student. I then began to really think about how elements of the learning and training environment, how we can manipulate elements of the learning and training environment to enable our students to thrive in, and how I could personally make a difference in our students' personal learning journey. The other thing that I began to think about was how students who looked like me and had experiences like me thrived in environments that weren't necessarily designed for them or not necessarily meant to support them. And that was some of the research that I do now at UCSF. So building on the two values that I mentioned in my first part with my family around advocacy and courage, patience and trust then became the second layer of values that allow me to believe in and embrace my inner trailblazer. And so what I mean by patience is that it's believing that you are on the path that's already most aligned for you, right? And so for me, it was about, I love blending different disciplines together and applying it to mentorship, justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, and community. For you, it might be something else. So now I'm going to take a drink of water because I'm going to tell you something a little personal. a little bit more personal. So now I'm going to press pause and tell you a little bit more of a personal story. So over 5 years ago, I almost lost my life. In 2016, I battled severe appendicitis. So for all the medical students, I know you all talk about appendicitis. I'm looking at the 3 right here. I battled severe appendicitis, and my doctors were in awe, and I had a team of surgeons, mind you, were in awe of how my body fiercely responded to my near-death experience. I feel like every time they came into the hospital room, they would look at the monitors, and then look at me, look at the monitors, look at me, and I'm like, what are you looking at? The monitors are, this is what I'm going through, And it was a really scary time. My family and friends were afraid that I wasn't going to make it. And for many reasons, I knew that I was. I knew that I had more to share with the world. I knew that I had more to share with my family and friends, and I knew that I had more to accomplish. And so I had to really trust the situation that I was currently in, because I knew that it wasn't the end. I had to trust my body. I'm an athlete. I grew up as an athlete, and I was privileged to be very able-bodied. And so I had to trust my body to heal after that event. I also had to trust my parents. My parents moved in with me and nursed me back to health. So I also had to trust them. And so as a result of that, both patience and trust, as I already mentioned before, again, were important values that helped me to continue to believe in and embrace my inner trailblazer. And so within, I would say, probably 3 to 6 months of my life-saving surgery and the recovery, I decided to come to California and started at UCSF in 2017. I'm going to go ahead and take this and go on the other side. So I'm going to move into the third part of my story. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me currently. And I know that a lot of you know me. So some of this information probably won't be a surprise for you, but nonetheless, I was part of this lecture. It's meant to talk about how I got here, and so this is where we are now, me currently. And so as I move into the third part of my lecture, I want to share a little bit more about myself at UCSF. So I've already told you that I identify as a Black woman, as a neuroscientist, and that mentorship is important to me. And I already told you that I love school. So, and I always say school, school, school. If you all ever hear me, I never say I'm going to campus. I always say I'm going to school. And so I oversee in my role at, so let me back up. So working in education, working with PhD students is a natural fit. So in my role here at UCSF as Assistant Dean for Diversity and Learner Success, I oversee our Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion curricula, 2 large access and retention programs, outreach initiatives, and all things under the sun to support our students. And many of you have benefited from all of the work. And so some of the things that are really important to me that, again, none of you will be surprised about is I really enjoy being able to center our students' experiences. It's really important to me. I really enjoy honing in and listening to their needs. It is also really important for me to mentor and advise our students in the uplifting times, so the good times, as well as the challenging and unforeseen times. I also think it's important for me to be honest with our students, particularly if I'm unable to do something. I'm often telling you all, nah, we can't do that. And this is why, but let's try something else. I'm looking at Robbie, who's sitting up front. He's heard this the most. Explain the barriers. And I also think it's important for me to advocate for our students, particularly when you all are not in the room. You all don't know that we do this, but we often are. And we're often navigating very difficult conversations on your behalf without you knowing. And so since I had the foundations of both advocacy and courage modeled from my parents, particularly from my mom, all of those things are easier for me, right? Because that's a core value. Those are core values for me. When I first started at UCSF, I wanted to focus on creating opportunities where students' personal identities, who they are and where they come from, align with their professional and scientific identities, what they do. I knew at times our students' personal identities could be stripped away, silenced, and even erased to ensure health science and research advanced. And so what you're seeing on the screen is, when students' personal and professional identities are out of alignment, that can cause distress, some of the challenges that students may be experiencing. But I want you all to ask why, when, and how does this happen? Are there approaches that we can take to promote alignment of our students' personal and professional identities, right? So that's what you're seeing in the green color in the middle. These are the central research questions that I try to understand to develop educational interventions for our students. The other thing that I did when I first started at UCSF is I thought really incredibly deeply and incredibly about how I wanted to make an impact and enact change for our students. I instinctively knew that I needed to build a community of people who shared the same values as I did around justice, equity, and diversity and inclusion. And I knew it was going to take, sorry about that. And I knew that it was going to take some time. So I began building relationships with students, faculty, and staff. And some of you I built relationships with. Mark, I'm looking at you. And it's actually really interesting because working with our students wasn't easy as first. You all needed to trust me. I needed to demonstrate that I was trustworthy. I had to show up with integrity, mean what I say and say what I mean. And so with time, we built trust. We built relationships and connections and empathy for one another. And we quickly understood the power and value of collaboration to advance justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And the newer phenomenon that's actually happening that I love, because this is huge, is that now collectively we are, there's an understanding that there is interdisciplinary approaches that is required to be transformative in this arena. That's huge. For a community of people, before I got here, that wasn't what was going on. Right? So I want that to really sit with you all. So approaching my life by interacting with others and building foundational relationships has always been present. One thing I would like to offer all of you is the idea of trailblazing without integrity and trailblazing without relationships. Think about it for a moment. I'm going to engage again. I'm going to start calling on people. Students in my classroom, I'd like to call on you. What does it look like? Can anyone, what does it look like for you? Lonely? Anyone else? What about without relationships? Lonely too? Anything else? Ineffective? Yes, I love that. Being a part of a community of individuals who also center the value of integrity and relationships helps you see everyone's true selves with all of their gifts. And being a part of community also means that we are part of something bigger that's greater than ourselves individually. This is what I strive for our students here at UCSF, and it's actually one of the most beautiful aspects of my job. So as I wrap up tonight, I would like each of you to take some time to deeply think about your own personal journeys, where you are now, and how your stories connect to your values and the relationship to believing in and embracing your inner trailblazers. So I'm going to drop some pearls of wisdom on you. Sorority sisters, you know what that means. On you, just to kind of get you started. So the first pearl of wisdom is, throughout this lecture, I talked a lot about my journey to believe in and embrace my inner trailblazer, which is code for believe in and embrace your inner you. I want everyone to see yourselves for who you are. Sometimes society, academic institutions, and organizations are often sending signals that you do not belong, that you may not be worthy, or they want to profit from you, your ideas, your knowledge, your service, your labor. And I want to share with all of you and shout to all of you is that it's important for you to center yourself and your values to cultivate, believe in, and embrace your inner you. The second pearl of wisdom is to reflect on your inner trailblazer. I believe each and every one of us has it. And for all of the students, you all come to my office all the time. First of all, you crack me up, right? So everyone's a comedian. That's the first thing. And the second thing, you all have gifts, because I've seen them, right, through the stories that you've told me. So for me, I shared you my values around the importance of advocacy, courage, patience, trust, and being trustworthy, integrity, and the values and valuing the importance of relationships with others. For you, there may be other words that come to mind. I mean, you already shouted a couple of them earlier this evening. The third pearl of wisdom I like to offer is then to ask yourself, how do you believe in your inner trailblazer? How do you embrace it? And who around you nurtures it? I would ask everyone to honor your beautiful identities, your experiences, your perspectives, and your communities. So your work colleagues, your family, your friends. These are the people that are going to help nurture your inner trailblazers. The fourth pearl of wisdom is to remain patient and trust your journey. Each of us is blazing trails that we are unaware of. I do believe that. And lastly, believe in it. Again, Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey said, "We were moving mountains long before we knew we could." I need that to sit up here. Think of Alita. When Alita and I came up here, I know you all had chills. I know you did. So when times or experiences get tough, you may feel hopeless, especially if you're the only one going through it or you're the first in your family to go through it. But staying connected to your trusted community and centering and believing in your inner trailblazer will help you stay focused on what you're meant to be, regardless of the noise. We all know what the noise is, right? Oops. So before I officially close, a couple more things that are going to happen tonight, some surprises. Have y'all been surprised so far? I would like to celebrate and honor our graduate students during Graduate Student Appreciation Week. It's happening now. I know it may not feel like it. It's important. This is important to our graduate dean, so we're gonna get it hyped next year, we promise. And so for me, our graduate students are the backbone of innovation, brilliance, and leadership at UCSF. And you all mean so much to me. I know that I don't always say it, but I share it with my hugs and my smiles and my emails. You bring so much commitment and passion, and you truly inspire me every day. Thank you for continuing to teach me the power of connection vulnerability, and all the hype new ways of thought that pop up on Twitter and Instagram, TikTok. I'm not even on TikTok, but y'all teach me these things. So thank you, and I hope that you enjoy your week. Again, next year it's gonna be on and popping. So one of the things, I talked a lot about my students and I talked a lot about community in tonight's lecture. So one of the things I really wanted to do was feature some of our students and really celebrate and honor our amazing relationships and the powerful community that we have here at UCSF. So I've asked 3 students to join, and if you all would come to the stage, please welcome them. So I asked the students to introduce themselves, so say their name, their graduate program, and where they're from. And I also gave them a prompt. You all also know that I love reflecting. So I'm always giving somebody something to think about. Zach, you know too. And so the prompt is, how do you believe in and embrace your inner trailblazers?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Berlisa Mari Soriano. I'm from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I'm in the and I'm in the chemistry and chemical biology program. First, when Deanne contacted me to be here and feature as a student, the first thing that I had to do is actually Google what a trailblazer was and how to pronounce it, because I couldn't. The second thing that I did was reflect, am I a trailblazer? Why does Deanne feel like I'm a trailblazer? And then I thought back to one time that I was on Zoom with Deanne. She might not remember this because she meets with a bunch of students, when I was almost crying to her and telling her, I don't think I should be here. You know, I don't feel like good enough to be here. And she was like, girl, UCSF is better because you're here. So now I had to reflect on like 3 things that I feel helped me believe and embrace my inner trailblazer. The first one is remind myself of the little things that I do every day that make me a trailblazer. I was a trailblazer before, when I was the first one in my family to complete a bachelor's degree. I was a trailblazer when I was the first one in my family to be doing a PhD now. I'm also, thank you, sorry, I'm gonna The second thing that I had to remind myself is that I belong in the space, and that I have to take up the space. Because the brown girls that are back at home that see me, they see themselves in me, and I'm the trailblazer for them. So,
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening. Hey, y'all could do better than that. I'm Antoine Johnson. I'm a 5th-year PhD candidate in the History of Health Sciences program, and hailing from East Oakland, California. So one way that I embrace my inner trailblazer and believe in is something that's written on my board at home. It's the title of Huey P. Newton's autobiography, Revolutionary Suicide. And another way to interpret that, which is more popular, is the saying that a coward dies 1,000 deaths, a soldier dies but once. And what that means, how I interpret that is, don't live your life every day in fear, because when you do, a little bit of you die inside. And like Dr. Deanne says, have a purpose, have some integrity, have some values, and live life to the fullest by ascribing to those morals, those values, and uphold your integrity. So with that being said, you know, revolutionary suicide for me is make sure that I leave the world a better place when I'm gone for the following generations. That's how I embrace my inner trailblazer.
Hey everyone, my name is Sydney Williams. I am a first-year PSPG PhD student, hailing all the way from North Carolina, so South. Anybody repping the South? There we go. So when Deanne first presented me with this prompt, she actually caught me at a time when I lost somebody close to me that was actually a mentor. And so it got me thinking about like this concept of time. I feel like a lot of times we feel boggled down by our 24 hours we have or the time we have in an experiment. So there's like 2 P's that I kind of thought of when she gave me this prompt. And the first one was progress. I feel like a lot of the people in this room and a lot of people, I'm going on a limb and say everyone who's interacted with you of diverse backgrounds sometimes forgets the progress we made and the trails we've already blazed to get to this point. And it's really easy to get lost into, if I don't do this in 5 years, my legacy is destroyed and my PhD is ruined. But what about what it took for you to get here from the communities you came from? Yeah, that was really big. My mentor kind of taught me that, rest in peace to her. And then also purpose. You touched on it, these 2 touched on it. If you live every day from this minute on out, to know that you have a greater purpose that's greater than your PhD, that's greater than what you think your career is going to be, and it's going to impact probably 6 to 10 people in this room right now, you would live your life with more courage, more determination, maybe a little bit more focus and more drive than to just worry about what's happening in the present. So if you always know that there's a greater purpose for you, and then you acknowledge the progress you've already done, much like you are able to do this last lecture, then you can blaze any trail you want to.
Thank you, Antoine, Berliza, and Sydney, for being a part of my last lecture. I knew the 3 of you would be amazing. You showed up today, so thank you for contributing tonight. Grab my advancer for the last slide. Before I move on to the last slide, I really do want to thank all of the students. I know that I work in graduate division, so I work with a lot of our PhD students and our master's students, and I also know a lot of the professional students. So I want to thank all of you for making tonight happen. When I first got the email, I looked at it, with the nomination email, I looked at it and I said, is this for me? Like, is this like for real? You know, and I told a couple of students and they were like, we got you. You won't get it. And I was like, okay. And now I'm here, right? And so that wouldn't happen without our community. And I know that many of you, you know, particularly over the last 2 years with the graduate students in particular, I feel like we've become a lot closer and you all have really rallied for me every step of the way. And the reason why I know you all do that is because you all tell me that I rally for you. And again, that is how important our community is, and that's what we've all built together. So I really want you all to hear that message and take that with you tonight. So thank you. So there's a blank slide because there's just too many people to thank and write all of their names down. I really want to say thank you to everyone. I have so much gratitude to all of you. I touch many parts of this organization, know a lot of different people, and the last 5 years have had many ups and downs, and I want to thank you all for really centering me, advocating for me, texting me, being like, girl, keep your head up, you got this, you know what I mean? Particularly when I did not have a team, right? Thank you all for seeing me during that time when I was still hustling, still grinding, still showing up the way that I did. There were a lot of sacrificing that I had to do, and you all saw me through that journey. So I thank you all for that. I want to also thank, again, all of you in the audience tonight, everyone on live stream. Thank you so much. I want to thank a lot of friends, a lot of friends along the journey. So my colleagues at Vanderbilt, my colleagues from undergraduate, my colleagues from high school that are on the call. Some additional family members of mine are on the call. Friends from graduate school. Thank you so much for being on the call. Additional sorority sisters who couldn't be here in person. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of my lecture. I hope that everyone continues to believe in and embrace your inner trailblazers. Please please know I'm going to ask. Y'all know I give homework assignments. And so with that, I will close and say I hope everyone has a restful evening, and thank you for joining me for my last lecture. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Duncan, for this inspirational and passionate lecture. On behalf of the Graduate and Professional Student Association and the entire student body, we are really thankful that you joined us this evening. To our audience, thank you for joining us. And if you have a favorite takeaway, a quote, or even a screenshot for those of you watching online, please share it on the Alumni Association's UCSF Connect by April 11. And lastly, we do have some cookies outside as a thank you in the atrium. Once again, thank you, Dr. Duncan. Let's give her a big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, here.
That's the honor.